I wanted my own time and freedom, and to me, real estate is those two things. Now, it doesn't mean it just immediately provides that for you. You still have to put your time in, but whereas a 9 to 5, you'll work for 40 years and then retire, real estate can change your life in, 10 years. It produces passive income, it reduces your tax bill drastically. And those are the things that really caught my attention was, okay, so if I put the time in here, by the time I'm 35, I could be what people call financially free, where my bills are getting paid. I want to be able to show up to my kids' baseball games and be able to hang out with them and take them on vacation, and real estate can provide that for me.
Hey everybody, my name is Conor Schafstall, and this is Mindset in Motion. Keep moving and keep growing. That's what we're all about. I'd like to introduce my guest speaker today. His name is Ian Walker. Ian, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hey, my name's Ian. Partners with Connor and Rising Tide Investments, and I'm excited. Let's get into it, Connor.
Yeah. So to give everybody a little bit of background about how we met, we both ended up joining an education program to try to learn how to get into real estate. And through networking, we ended up just getting into a group together, and now we've been trying to progress forward in real estate as a business. So I'm a little more curious to know about where it started for you in a professional career and what brought you into trying to get into real estate and having the mindset to be an entrepreneur and grow and empathize on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this all probably started for me. Actually, I know exactly where it started. It was my freshman year of college. So just like pretty much everybody else, or I should say most people, my parents were pushing me for me to go to college, and I did want to. I wanted to keep playing baseball. So um, those two, I didn't really have any particular desires at the time, like any career path I was looking to go down. I just knew I wanted to play baseball. So um, I went to college, continued to play baseball, but immediately my freshman year started, classes started, and I realized real quickly, like I was not interested in school. So um, I believe there was better things out there. Um, and so that's kind of how I got found real estate, and specifically multifamily real estate. I just started looking into, um, watching YouTube videos at night, um, figuring out like, how can I do something different and still make money and achieve a high level of success. And that kind of brought me to a guy named Grant Cardone. He's a multi-billionaire in the real estate space, super charismatic, and I got drawn into his videos. And he specifically uh, deals with multifamily real estate, and that's how I kind of got my first taste of what things could look like or what they might look like had I um, dove into it. So I remember I spent more hours studying Grant Cardone's YouTube videos than I did like my actual classes.
What were you going to class for? What did you go to college for technically?
Yeah, so like I was saying, I didn't have any particular desires or career paths when I went to school other than to continue playing baseball. So I actually went to a junior college my first 2 years, um, just to get my general ed credits out of the way and not have to really make a decision on that major yet. And then I transferred to continue playing baseball at Southwest Minnesota State University. And there I decided my major was going to be marketing. I was a little bit interested in digital marketing, social media stuff, that sort of thing. And so that's what I went to school for after there. But the same trend or the same brainwaves were happening where school wasn't really it. I was just pushing through it and barely getting by. to be able to keep playing baseball and get that piece of paper at the end that says I'm worth something to corporate America.
Right.
Um, Managed to get all the way through it. Took me 5 years, but I got out, and then my first job was um, where I kind of got my entrepreneurial steps in. I had never even heard of 1099 work before, but I was hired on in for a couple of companies called Go Local Digital Billboards and Spark Digital. So I used my kind of marketing tactics. Um, but like most guys that end up or that have a marketing degree, I kind of ended up in sales. Um, and I was just a um, independent contractor for them for a while. I was just door knocking small businesses to sell them digital marketing and advertising products. And still, it just wasn't tickling my fancy. I and eventually, I kept having these conversations in my head, and with one of my buddies in particular, um, who had kind of a similar mindset that real estate is definitely a way to wealth, and that's what I was looking for. Um, so me and my buddy Jared, who I know has been on your podcast before,
Yep.
we ended up partnering up, and we figured, you got to have millions of dollars to buy an apartment building. We think that's the best way to do it, but we don't have the money, so let's start small and buy a house together. So that's what we did, and we were just gonna, fix it, flip it, and continue to move on. And um, however, we I found a little more education and realized you didn't need all that money that I thought you needed. You didn't need to
Yeah.
have millions of dollars. You can go raise it, go get the skills to operate in the multifamily space, and there's going to be people out there that will give you the money to make them more money.
Yeah, I think that was one of the biggest learning curves that I found getting into the multifamily syndication space is that you can add a lot of value to people outside of just money. And so that was pretty cool because you can get involved in the real estate in a lot of different capacities. Obviously, money is the best way to get a return straight off the bat. Like if you can put money into a deal, that's really great. But if you're somebody like you or I that money is not relatively available, you can actually add value to people that do have money and help them. And so that was a pretty cool thing that I figured out about multifamily syndication.
Absolutely.
So I kind of have a question for you now, going off of the two things that you were talking about, which is marketing and baseball. Out of those two things, what have you learned that you can apply to your everyday life now? Do you think you picked up more from baseball, or do you think you've picked up more from marketing?
I would put it this way, like I the way my brain works, physical activity is definitely the answer to a lot of things for me. Being active is a lifestyle. So um I liked baseball way more than I liked school. So and where was I learning marketing? In class. So I certainly think I learned more in baseball, and I think the main thing that I pulled away from it was work ethic. And I say that because, around like sixth, seventh, eighth grade, I wanted to play catcher really bad. Um, Joe Mauer was one of the coolest dudes ever, at least in my eyes, that played for the Minnesota Twins. He was a catcher. And I wanted to be like him, but I wasn't at that time better than multiple other players at playing catcher on my team. Um, so it came to a point where I wanted to play catcher, but I got two dudes in front of me who are better, so I'm not going to get to do it. So I spent, after about eighth grade, I spent two full winters from eighth grade winter, ninth grade winter, um, to, I mean, just becoming light years better than those guys just by outworking them. And that's kind of one of the main points that sticks with me is I think work ethic is certainly one of the biggest takeaways I've taken away from those two things.
So, how much do you think the effect of the physical motions of going through the practice and the muscle memory versus the mindset you have to stick with it and say, I can do better, I can be better, I'm going to be the best? Like, what did you find to have a bigger impact on that goal that you were trying to achieve?
Can you repeat that question? I don't think I understood it.
So, okay, you have the mindset of, look, there's somebody better than me. I have to be better if I want to be in that position. So then you went and put in the grind and the hard work and the muscle memory it takes to achieve and perform at the level that you needed to. Obviously, it takes practice to be in the position and that on that as a catcher. You don't just say, I want to be the catcher, and then you're the best at catching, I guess.
Certainly.
So, what was more beneficial, the actual practice or having the mindset of saying, hey, I can do it?
Hmm, that's a tough question because I feel like that's almost like a what came first, the chicken or the egg sort of deal. Because believing you can do it is absolutely one of the most, like, I think your brain is your most um powerful tool that you have. Um, it creates your reality. However, without any action, it means nothing. It's just a dream. So that's a really tough question to answer for me. I'm gonna err on the side of I think doing it is practicing, doing
Putting the
it
reps
over and
in.
over. You don't
Yeah.
even need to, you don't even actually. I'll take that back. You don't even need to believe in yourself. You do it enough. Eventually, you just will be good enough.
Yeah. I feel that in so many different aspects. It's hard to be stubborn enough to stick with something that you want to do until you become good enough to be what you want to be. Like I
Certainly,
struggle with that sometimes myself, and it's like, man, I keep on hitting walls, and I'm not achieving what I want to achieve as fast as I want to achieve it, but I'm too stubborn to stop and give up because I am going to achieve it. I don't know if you
absolutely.
ever feel that way yourself, but
Oh, 100%, 100%. Especially working as um, having a pretty consistent career path as a independent contractor in sales. Um, I've worked pretty much like commission only in my career. I told you growing up about the baseball stuff. Um, in my career, I've worked pretty much commission only jobs as an independent contractor where I've got to kind of control my schedule, make sure I'm on top of my game, and the only way you get paid commission only is if you're out there doing the work and making it happen. So, um, it's the repetition is a part of my everyday life.
yeah. So is there any like points and times when you're out there and you're working for yourself? Like if you don't do the job, you're not getting paid. So is there ever a point in time that you feel like you're just beating down and then you just have to be like power through it? Like what do you do to power through it to keep going? Do you have any like tricks or tips that you do?
Um, well, I'll be the first person to be honest with you. I mean, there's been points where like I've gone out, been working, and just said, "Fuck it, I'm going home." I've had those days, so I'll be honest about that. But um, intentionally, what I try to do is just keep moving forward. I mean, it doesn't like having a purpose is extremely important in what you're doing in anything. Um, and that's it's one of the reasons I have particular beliefs that I do is I have a purpose. Like there's goals that I need to achieve, um, and therefore I have a purpose in what I'm doing, and it doesn't matter how I feel. My feelings don't matter. My feelings aren't getting the job done. Um, I just have to do it. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I don't do it, if I stay in bed too many days feeling down on myself or whatever it may be, I'm not getting paid. So there is no choice other than to keep moving towards your goal.
Yeah, I feel that's the way sometimes. Also, like working in the automotive industry and working in a shop, like I don't get paid to sit around and not fix cars. I have to get out there, I have to turn a wrench. It doesn't matter if I want to be out there in the heat doing it or in the cold or it doesn't matter. So the job needs to get done no matter what. So I definitely can relate to that. So with you getting into the real estate side of things with multifamily syndication, what would you say some of your reasons or your why is?
Yeah, absolutely. So I I believed in a better life. Like I looked at, and this is no offense to 9 to 5 jobs or corporate America or anything like that. It's just I don't think for me with my personality or my lifestyle or my desires or wants that sort of lifestyle or career choice would suit my everything else. So there's a few things that's one of them. And another one was, I was looking for something that could produce me a better life. Um, because growing up, I would, it's not like my dad wasn't around or anything like that. It's just that I would see him work 16 hours a day, every day. Like, Saturday,
Right.
he's in the garage under a car. He's working, 4 to 4, Monday through Friday. And then when he gets home, he's underneath the car trying to, sell cars and stuff on the side.
Try and get that
Yeah.
side money, that side hustle. Yeah.
Exactly. And to me, that just seemed like, you know, one of the things my dad always told me was because he was a he was a factory worker and he was doing manual labor, obviously, fixing up cars and selling them. So one of the things he always told me was you have to go to college because you need to, you can like your body's going to be broken down like mine by the time you are my age and you don't want that. Like go get yourself a cushy office job or desk job or whatever. Which sounds great, but um especially in today's world, a lot of anything nice is pretty expensive. So
Right.
uh, um
Even things that aren't so nice are pretty expensive nowadays.
yeah, that's totally fair. So um you know there had to be a way to build wealth and um you know not necessarily be somebody else's slave. Like I wanted my own time and freedom, and to me real estate is those two things. Now it doesn't mean it just immediately provides that for you. You still have to put your time in, but whereas a 9 to 5 you'll work for 40 years and then retire. um Real estate can change your life in 10 years. You can be It produces passive income. It reduces your tax bill drastically and things like that. And those are the things that really caught my attention was, okay, so if I put the time in here, by the time I'm 35, I could be what people call financially free, where my bills and stuff are getting paid. I want to be able to show up to my kids' baseball games and be able to hang out with them and you know take them on vacations and stuff. And uh,
So
I want to be
essentially,
able to have the time and the freedom, and real estate can provide that for me.
so essentially, it's freedom of time and passive income is what you want to achieve before you're retired after a 9 to 5 job in a corporation. You
Exactly.
know,
I think
and you can
it's
even argue that after you work at a corporation for your whole life, you still won't have, passive income or freedom from bills and money. Where in real estate, you can put in half the work and achieve more.
yeah, I think that it can completely expedite the process. Um and that's kind of the main thing is, if I, work my 40 years or, 40 or 50 years, depending on how things keep going, I'm 60 or 70 years old by the time I'm actually retired. And
Right.
it, like, that doesn't seem like living my best life, wait until then to start having your freedom back.
Right.
I want to be like still in, good health. and
Yeah.
and yeah, so I think it can completely expedite the process, and that's why I believe in it.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that I've found myself worrying about is because I've grown up around people that everybody's working the normal 9 to 5 job. And, I see somebody like my dad that was a phenomenal employee that did great at what he did and finally got to retire, but now goes and works a part time job after he retired. That way he can have a little bit of extra spending money to go do the things that he wants to do instead of just pay the bills. Or I don't have to worry about, my mom retiring in a couple years and then her being in the same situation. It's not freedom of time when you have to go back to work after you retire. And it's not freedom, financial freedom either. So those are the type of things that I would like to achieve and see the other people around me achieve also.
Absolutely. And a conversation that I've actually had with a good handful of my buddies now is, um there used to be this like goal income, 100 grand a year, six figures, whatever you want to
Right.
call it. That used to be like the goal income. Like if you were making 100 grand a year, you were like guaranteed upper middle class. You're
Right.
probably living pretty good, driving the nice cars. In today's world, like I fully believe the new 100 grand is 200 grand or more.
I think it's closer to three.
Yeah,
So that was my belief also. And, I set out in a career path and I achieved that number. I hit the 100,000 and it doesn't change your lifestyle. My lifestyle between making 70,000 a year and 100 plus a year was not that dramatically of a change. And it's the realization I had of, 100,000 is really more like you need to achieve 300,000. Like 300,000 is the new 100,000. And so that's where my mindset really flipped into what do I need to do to achieve that? Well, it's not by turning a wrench anymore. I can't achieve that in a shop. So
absolutely. And that's kind of one of the other things that's steered me towards the entrepreneurial side of things, the real estate side of things is, it puts me in control of my income, and real estate's a fantastic vehicle, um, to make that possible. And, you know, if you want to work the 9 to 5, that's great, but I still believe, 9 to 5, or corporate America still believes six figures is the goal income, but that's not reflective of what, you know, things cost nowadays. So,
right,
you know,
right,
it's tough to find jobs that are willing to pay, 200, $300,000, um, if you aren't just building your own source of income.
yeah. The goal nowadays has to be build your own empire, and I think multifamily syndication is the fastest way or the best way to accomplish that.
Certainly. I think it's one of it's one of the lowest risk, but also highest performing assets that you can put your time and money into, and it can feed you and your family for the rest of your life without you having to, you know, lift a finger.
Do you think there? I guess I'll tell you a little bit about where this question is going to stem from. I noticed when I was probably 5, 6 years ago, 20, 24, 25 years old, like it was like a get up, barely enough time to get to work, drag my feet, and then I do the job and I go home and I'm not really satisfied with what I'm doing. And then I started focusing more on other individuals at my job and how I can help them and help them grow. And then I started looking at myself, okay, like what do I need to do to be better? So one of the things I started doing was getting up earlier to go to the gym. That way I can get to work on time and I feel more awake, aware, energetic. And so like trying to create these new habits in my everyday work or my everyday life had a good reflect on my work life. And it just made me feel better about myself and what I was doing. Is there anything that you do, any habits that you have that help you stay more regular in achieving the goals of what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I mean, there's one main thing that like keeps me alive every day, and it's going to the gym. I'm gonna go to the gym every single day. Occasionally I take Sundays off, but I know rest days are supposed to be important or whatever, but um I'd just rather go to the gym because like I mentioned earlier, like physical activity, being active, moving my body. I got into working out and lifting weights and stuff when I was really young, and that's been a part of my life ever since. It's just something that it makes me feel good, and honestly, to the point where like if I take 1 day off, 1 or 2 days off, like you almost feel bad about yourself. So
Yeah.
like you almost kind of just have to go. So yeah, it's for me, it's 100% going to the gym every single day. It's something I look forward to every day. Uh, and luckily for me, I have this phenomenal like bodybuilder style gym that has a bunch of people like me in it that just love working out and that sort of thing. 2-3 minutes from my house, and it's really something I absolutely look forward to every day.
Is there like a good community in the gym? Like, is there people that you like the regulars you see every day, and then you guys like pump each other up and keep each other accountable? How
Yeah,
how tight knit is the gym?
absolutely. It's kind of funny because there's a handful of guys in there. I don't even know their names, but every time like we walk past each other, like, giving each other a wave or a fist bump or getting a spot from them. There's multiple guys in there that I don't even know, but I see them in there every day, and we just do what we do in there, and it's just a good time.
Yeah, it's always I'm terrible about going to the gym by myself. I hate it. And so the always like one of the things for me is knowing that there's going to be somebody else going. If it's another guy I work with or somebody I see every day there to like hold me accountable. Like I'm holding myself accountable to make sure I'm there for them. Like I'm terrible about going by myself, but if I gotta show up to be there for somebody else, I'm so much better about showing up. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think um there's a super competitive drive in me. I don't necessarily compare myself to the other people in the gym, um, or anything like that, but there's a super competitive drive into me, whether it's like financially, physically. Like I'm looking to be better than the like people will say, like you're your biggest competition or whatever, but that isn't good enough for me. I need to be better than everybody else. So there's just I have a drive in me for that. So I totally get it.
now, is there anything you do outside of the gym um, to like help build yourself up? Do you do any like reading or any favorite authors or books that you're looking at?
Yeah, so first I have like the gym's the main thing, of course. That's like my physical activity every single day, no matter what. Um, I have oh shoot, what was I gonna say? I have a couple of hobbies that I kind of look forward to doing every so often. That kind of keep me into, I don't know, they just help me blow off steam or whatever it is. Like they just give me
Like
love.
center your zen, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Keep your arrow pointed straight.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The other two like kind of hobbies that I have is I love to shoot guns. So I've got a group of guys that I'll go train um handguns or ARs or whatever it is we're shooting, and we'll just train for a few hours on a Saturday or a Sunday in the summer outdoors. It's just a great time being out there doing that stuff. Golf is another one of my like absolutely favorite hobbies. It kind of feeds that competitive drive, but in more of a entertaining way. Um, I'm I'm religious, so I believe in God, and um, certainly don't pray as much as I should, but um, I try to keep the big man upstairs in my life to keep me grounded. And then on top of that, I have been really into a few things lately to kind of level up my mind as well. Or not lately, but probably the last like 3 years. Um, so reading books specifically about mindset, finances, um, and success has been a big thing. I recently read Grant Cardone's "Be Obsessed or Be Average." Um, read books like The 48 Laws of Power, um, The Millionaire Mindset. Um, there's a book by is it Andrew Carnegie? What am I
Mm.
thinking of? Thinking to Grow Rich. Um, and so yeah, I try to. Oh, and podcasts. I listen to YouTube videos and podcasts. I do a lot of driving for work. Um, and I started to realize that listening to all this rap music probably isn't good for my brain. So
I
I'm
started doing
starting.
the same thing.
Yeah,
The way to work, I started putting podcasts on instead of listening to the radio, and I loved it. There's so much information I get from it.
absolutely. So I got um I get a lot of like mindset help and stuff like that from just listening to podcasts and stuff in the car. So there's a handful of things that I do to, level up in certain ways.
Well, I
Sure is.
appreciate you coming on the podcast today. For all the listeners out there, is there a way they can get a hold of you or find you? Where should they go look you up?
Yeah, you can find me Ian J Walker 33 on Instagram. Ian J Walker 33 on everything. Um, you can find me there on whatever
Very
social you
cool.
want.
All right. Well, we'll appreciate you getting on here, and we'll talk soon, man.
Yeah, absolutely.